Trump's doing what he promised to do. You go back to April of 2017, it was just 46% of all Americans who said that Trump was doing what he promised to do. Compare that now to February of 2025. You know, there was a good show that was on during the 1990s called A Different World. That is what's going on right now. We're living in a different world. 70% of Americans say Trump is doing what he promised to do. Again, compare that to April of 2017 when it's just 46%. When Americans are 24 points more likely to say that you're doing what you promised to do, it's no wonder that your net approval rating is much more likely to be on the positive side of the ledger than on the negative side. And so far, what we're seeing, again, is Americans, 21 days so far versus just 11 days during his entire first term, that Trump has a positive net approval rating. Quite a different world.
Trump is more popular than ever before, and even CNN is forced to admit it. Let's watch.
Take an average of the polls, and holy smokes, I mean, look at what the difference is between now versus 8 years ago during the first Trump term, right? This is Trump's net approval rating on February 10th. You go back to 2017, Trump was already underwater at -5 points on the net approval rating. That's approval minus disapproval. What a difference 8 years makes. He's on the positive side of the ledger at +4 points. And again, it's not just the CBS News poll. We're talking about the Gallup poll. We're talking about the Ipsos poll. We are talking about the Pew poll. All of these respective pollsters have Trump in a better position now than they did 8 years ago, being on the plus side of the ledger.
On a better position now than 8 years ago. This is insane to me, and even CBS is saying it.
A new CBS poll shows that more than half of Americans approve of what President Donald Trump is doing in this early stage of his latest tenure. Let's bring in CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, to break down this poll. Anthony, great to be with you. Give us the reason behind Trump's approval rating as it stands right now.
Hey there, Marie. Good to talk to you. And let me start by showing you this. You get 70% of Americans say they feel like Donald Trump is doing now what he promised in the campaign. Now, there's political value in that. There's people in there who approve, some who disapprove. But either way, you see that big 70%. It's one way they start to evaluate a new administration. Here's something else that I see as an echo from the campaign. We tested some of the descriptors that people had used last summer, last fall, about Donald Trump, and we see big majorities now still say he is described as tough, energetic, focused, all of those things. So those are some of the big reasons as people start to get a general sense of the direction of the administration, the style of leadership, if you will. That's something that plays into those net positive approval numbers, Marie.
Sure.
Trump is loved by all Americans, and this is probably why.
Donald Trump is more popular now than he has ever been, according to a new CBS YouGov poll. His popularity is at 53%. That is higher than his share of the popular vote in the November election, and it mirrors what we've been saying. 70% of people polled say he is doing in office what he promised to do on the campaign trail.
I also thought it was interesting that he did receive this loud applause when he was at the Super Bowl, because that is, you know, a real test of popularity, isn't it, for a president, for a world leader, to put themselves in an arena full of ordinary people. And there he was getting cheers in seats nearby, Taylor Swift getting booed. And that was something, you know, he remarked upon on Truth Social. He said, you know, MAGA is unforgiving. Taylor Swift was getting booed. But that will have been a real buoying effect on his confidence as a leader.
I agree. I think the culture has been shifting and nobody cares about Taylor Swift anymore. And people want to see what Donald Trump will be doing next for the country.
Enough. There's this concept in private equity when you get a bankrupt company and you go in there, you cut 20% more than your initial read. And then you find, like a pool of mercury, the organization gels back together again. Always cut deeper, harder when there's fat and waste. The FAA, it's not the people. The code is cobalt. It's from the 60s. It needs CapEx put into it for the technology to be upgraded to make it safer. Fat like a chicken. All of these agencies are like big fat chickens dripping over barbecues of fat. This is the best barbecue I've ever seen, but I don't think it's happening fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms. Cut, more cutting. believe me, it's going to work out just great. Everybody
Even
should be
people with
happy
the
about
nuclear
this.
codes, cut them too?
Cut everything. Because if you don't see what they're doing and they can't show you that they're adding value, you whack.
But it clearly.
I think
Cut everything, says Kevin O'Leary. He is behind what Trump and Doge and Elon Musk are doing, exposing fraud and waste and abuse into the government and cutting everything. I couldn't agree more myself.
Happy President's Day. I hope you're all enjoying the holiday and making the most of this long weekend. Social media is seeing a huge surge in posts wishing President Trump a happy President's Day. Tens of thousands of accounts have posted images of Donald Trump describing him as the most iconic president in history, and images are being shared of him in Butler just seconds after he was shot. Donald Trump in the McDonald's uniform on the campaign trail, and even his mugshot from when he was indicted in Georgia in 2023. And that mugshot image is now proudly framed in the Oval Office, sending the left into a complete spiral. And it hasn't even been a month since the president was sworn in for his second term, and he's signed more executive orders than any other recent president in their first 100 days. And in a sign of how starkly different this administration is to the previous one, Donald Trump recently signed an executive order cutting all federal funding to schools that mandate the COVID vaccine.
Okay, that solves that problem.
So will the Department of Education have to handle that?
Yes.
That solves that problem. A reminder that we should never, ever go back to that draconian era where the government used COVID as an excuse to take away our freedom and our choices.
I agree. I think Donald Trump is doing a great job right now. I think Donald Trump is going to get more popular and more popular, more and more in the future as people see how tough, energetic, focused, and effective he's doing. And just like Kevin O'Leary was saying, what he's doing right now, cutting all the fat from the government agencies this is gonna have very, very positive repercussion in the future, and it's gonna be great not only for the America as a whole, for the country, but for the American people as well. I think CNN basically is saying that Donald Trump was more popular than ever before is a revelation that there's no denying it. On air, on live television, in front of everybody, every American in the whole world, they are forced to say that Trump is doing what he promised to do, and this has made him more popular than ever. He is probably popular right now, more popular than he has ever been. He was already popular in 2016, 2017, but now in 2025, there's no denying it, that he is doing what he can to leave a huge legacy for America and for all Americans, and to bring peace all over the world, and to cut illegal immigration, and to reduce the inflation and the cost of living, and doing basically exactly what he was elected for. So this made him more and more popular, and I think we will see great things from Donald Trump in the future. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think Trump is doing what he promised to do? And do you think what he is doing right now is the right thing for all Americans? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you being here as always. Thanks for watching, and click right there so that you can watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye for now.